Have you ever noticed how some people grow older with a kind of quiet brightness, while others seem to harden, worry, or carry bitterness in their eyes? Why does age soften certain hearts, but trouble others? The truth is, peace doesn't arrive simply because the years pass. Peace appears when wisdom finally ripens. Buddhist teachings remind us that the later chapters of life are not a decline, but a subtle awakening, a time when the noise of the world fades just enough for the heart to hear itself clearly. Like a lantern carried into dusk, these teachings illuminate the path ahead, helping us walk gently, see deeply, and meet each moment with grace. In this journey, we'll explore 6 timeless insights: how to release regret, ease the fear of death, rediscover gratitude, and return to the present with a softness that only maturity can hold. Think of each lesson as a doorway, opening into a calmer way of being, one where nothing needs to be forced and nothing needs to be perfect. So settle in. Let your breath slow. Let your mind soften its grip. You're stepping into a sanctuary of stillness, where age is not an enemy, but an invitation to finally live with clarity and quiet joy. Lesson 1 begins with a simple truth. Inner peace only becomes possible when we stop resisting the natural flow of life. Everything changes: our bodies, our roles, our relationships, even the stories we tell ourselves. And yet, most of our suffering comes not from the change itself, but from the way we cling to what used to be. The Buddha expressed this gently: "Whatever arises will also fade." These words are not meant to discourage us. They are an invitation to loosen our grip on what cannot stay. As we grow older, the urge to hold on becomes stronger. We cling to our youth, to the strength we once had, to the recognition we once received, to memories we wish could stay untouched. The more tightly we grasp, the more it hurts. Aging feels painful not because time is unkind, but because we keep fighting a tide that was never meant to be stopped. But when we shift our view, even a little, everything softens. Instead of seeing age as loss, we begin to see it as refinement. Instead of mourning what has fallen away, we notice what has quietly grown within us: clarity, depth, tenderness. The years don't just take, they also give. And the moment we stop struggling against impermanence, age transforms from something we fear into something that deepens us. Think of life as a river. When we cling to the rocks along the bank, the current pulls at us, exhausting us. But when we release our hold, we flow naturally with the water, carried gently by what has always been bigger than us. Or imagine the sky. Clouds drift, storms pass, daylight fades, but the sky itself remains wide, spacious, untouched. You are that sky. Aging is simply the movement of clouds. Let's try a small reflection. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel your breath as it rises and falls. Notice the body you inhabit. Not as it once was, not as you wish it to be, but exactly as it is right now. You may feel stiffness, softness, warmth, or fatigue. Whatever appears, allow it. Beneath every sensation is the quiet miracle that you are still here, still breathing, still capable of awareness. This body may be aging, but it remains a living testament to everything you've walked through. When we meet impermanence with openness instead of resistance, we discover a surprising peace. The lines on your face become stories, not flaws. The slowness in your step becomes mindfulness in motion, and the changes you once feared become guides pointing you inward. Old age is not the enemy. It is the teacher you've been walking toward all along. Lesson 2 invites us to loosen the weight we've been carrying for decades. The regrets we replay, the mistakes we wish we could erase, the choices we now judge with older, clearer eyes. As we age, these memories often grow sharper, not softer. We tell ourselves, "I should have known better," or "if only I had chosen differently." Yet holding on to these moments is like gripping a burning coal. The Buddha taught that clinging to the past does not protect us from pain. It creates it. The longer we hold the ember, the deeper it burns. But the past was never meant to be a prison. Its purpose is not to chain us, but to shape us. When we look back with blame, we suffer. When we look back with understanding, we grow. Every misstep, every heartbreak, every wrong turn has woven itself into the wisdom you now possess. The past is not a place to live, only a place to learn from. Imagine a tree in autumn. It doesn't cling to its leaves, begging them to stay green forever. It lets them fall with grace, trusting the cycle, trusting the season, trusting that what leaves today makes room for new life tomorrow. In the same way, letting go of old memories does not mean erasing them. It means releasing the heaviness around them so your heart can breathe again. Try this gentle reflection. Sit quietly with your hands resting over your chest. Bring to mind one regret, just one, that still tugs at you. Don't analyze it. Don't judge it. Simply see it. Then, in your own mind, speak softly. I forgive the person I was. They were learning, just as I am learning now. Let the words settle. Let them open a little space inside you. That space is where compassion begins. Allow yourself to feel tenderness for the person you once were, someone doing their best with the understanding they had at the time. You wouldn't scold a child for stumbling while learning to walk. Why scold yourself for stumbling while learning to live? Letting go is not an act of forgetting. It is an act of honoring. You honor the past by taking its lessons, not its wounds. You honor yourself by no longer dragging yesterday's weight into today's fragile moments. And so, release gently. Release slowly. Release with kindness. You're not letting go because the past doesn't matter. You're letting go because you deserve to live lighter than before. Lesson 3 reminds us that one of the quiet gifts of aging is the slowing of time. The days are no longer rushed. The body no longer demands speed. And while many people see this as loss, Buddhist wisdom invites us to see it differently. When life slows down, the present moment finally becomes visible. What once passed by in a blur now asks to be noticed, savored, lived. The Buddha taught, in essence, do not linger in what has passed, and do not chase what has yet to arrive. Peace exists only in the space you are standing in right now. As the rhythms of life soften with age, every moment becomes an invitation, an opening for the mind to return home to itself. Slowness is not a limitation. Slowness is a message. It is the body's way of whispering to the mind, come back, walk with me, breathe with me. We're still here. When the rushing stops, what remains is a gentler pace that allows us to truly feel our lives rather than skim across the surface of them. Mindfulness doesn't require retreats or rituals. It unfolds in the smallest acts. When you hold a warm cup of tea, feel the gentle heat resting in your palms. When you take a step, notice the earth supporting you. When you breathe, sense the quiet rhythm that has sustained you since the day you were born. These are not ordinary moments. They are overlooked miracles. Psychologists often say, we cannot make time move backward, but we can make it deepen. When fully present, a single minute can feel rich, full, almost timeless. Presence transforms everyday life into something sacred, something textured with meaning. Here's a simple morning practice. Before rising from bed, place one hand over your heart. Feel its steady pulse. Instead of rushing into the day, whisper inwardly, I am here. Allow that awareness to settle into your chest, warming you from within. This small act anchors your mind in the present, shaping the tone for everything that follows. As we age, many doors close, but a profound one opens, the door to living with awareness rather than autopilot. In presence, we discover gratitude. In presence, we rediscover ourselves. And in presence, we experience a truth too easily forgotten, that life does not have to be extraordinary to be precious. The present moment is not just a pause between past and future. It is the wellspring where peace, clarity, and contentment quietly wait. And if this reflection brought you comfort, feel free to share a small note below. Perhaps a moment when solitude taught you something meaningful. Your words may be the warmth someone else needs today. Lesson 4 leads us into a truth we all eventually face, the quiet nearness of death. No matter who we are or how long we live, there comes a moment when impermanence is no longer an idea, but a presence we can feel. Yet Buddhist wisdom encourages us to approach this moment not with fear, but with clarity. Death is not a mistake in the fabric of life. It is woven into its very design. We often imagine death as the opposite of life, a dark ending. But in the Buddhist view, death is simply one more transformation, a doorway rather than a wall. The breath you take in becomes the breath you release. A flame lights another flame. A wave rises and falls back into the ocean. Nothing is lost, only changed in form. There is a well-known story about a woman named Kisa Gautami. Her young child died, and grief shattered her. Desperate, she begged the Buddha for medicine to bring the child back. The Buddha told her, "Bring me a mustard seed from a home untouched by death." She searched every house in the village, knocking on doors, pleading. But everywhere she went, she found the same truth. Every family had known loss. In the end, she returned empty-handed, but awakened. Her suffering softened when she realized she was not singled out. She was human, part of a world where everything changes and everyone grieves. Psychologists and spiritual teachers alike remind us that the fear of death is really the fear of letting go of the self. The stories we've built, the identities we cling to, the illusion of permanence we secretly hope to keep. When we loosen our attachment to the idea of me, death becomes less frightening and more like a return, a release into something vast and familiar. You can try this gentle breathing practice. Sit quietly. With each inhale, think, "This breath is a gift." With each exhale, think, "This breath too must be released." Don't force any emotion. Let the rhythm teach you. Life is a series of arrivals and departures, each one natural, each one necessary. Think of a wave surrendering back into the sea. The wave does not perish. It simply rejoins the source it came from. Or imagine a candle passing its flame to another. The original flame doesn't disappear. Its light continues, multiplied. When we face mortality with open eyes, something shifts. The small worries lose their power. Old grudges loosen. The heart becomes tender, awake, grateful for even the simplest moments. It is only when we recognize the limits of our time that we finally begin to live deeply, genuinely, wholeheartedly. Lesson 5 turns to a feeling many people experience as they grow older: solitude. The house becomes quieter. Loved ones move away or pass on. Daily conversations become fewer. And while this loneliness can feel heavy, Buddhist wisdom offers a gentler perspective. Solitude is not an absence. It is a space, a spaciousness where compassion, clarity, and inner warmth can take root. In the Buddhist tradition, silence is not seen as emptiness but as fertile soil. It's the ground where understanding deepens and the heart becomes more tender. When the external noise of life fades, we finally have the chance to hear our own breath, our own thoughts, our own long-ignored needs. What feels like isolation can, in truth, become a return to ourselves. Many people fear being alone because they equate solitude with being forgotten. But solitude is not a void. It is a doorway. It invites us to sit with our experiences, to see our emotions without rushing past them, to know ourselves beyond our roles and achievements. In this quiet, we discover that we don't need a crowded room to feel connected. Connection begins inside. Here is a simple compassion practice inspired by Tonglen, rewritten for this moment of life. Sit in stillness. As you inhale, imagine drawing in the heaviness that weighs on someone else, an elder neighbor, a struggling friend, or even your past self. As you exhale, imagine sending out warmth, ease, and understanding. Don't force images. Just feel the breath moving through you like a tide of kindness. With each cycle, your heart grows softer, more expansive. Think of the elders in monasteries, faces lined with years, backs slightly bent, eyes luminous. They are not youthful, yet they carry a serenity many young people never touch. Why? Because they have learned to be at home within themselves. Their solitude is not empty, it is radiant. When you let compassion guide your interactions, even the smallest acts, greeting a passerby, offering a gentle smile, listening without judgment, become threads of connection. Suddenly, the boundary between self and other grows thin. You realize that everyone is walking through their own joys and sorrows, just like you. The truth is, a heart that stays open is never truly alone. Solitude becomes a sanctuary, a quiet room where love circulates freely, where you can sit with your memories, breathe with your emotions, and meet yourself with patience. Lesson 6 brings us to the quiet summit of this journey, the place where fear loosens, grasping softens, and the heart begins to rest in its natural state. Ultimate peace doesn't arise because life becomes easier, or because circumstances finally align. It appears when the mind becomes clear enough to stop fighting what is. Freedom is not something we find outside of ourselves. It's the soft, steady light that appears when we stop running. Buddhist teachings often describe our lives as waves rising and falling on the vast ocean of awareness. The waves are everything we experience: joy, sorrow, gain, loss, aging, love, disappointment. They rise, shimmer for a time, and eventually dissolve. But beneath them is the ocean itself, wide, quiet, unbroken. That ocean is your true nature. You were never just the wave. You were always the depth beneath it. We often imagine awakening as something reserved for monks or sages, a rare state reached only through extraordinary effort. But awakening is much simpler. It is what happens the moment we stop resisting reality. When we let life be what it is instead of what we think it should be, clarity arrives like the sun emerging from behind a cloud. Peace does not need to be created, only uncovered. Psychologically, much of our suffering comes from the mind's endless chase. If only I were healthier. If only I were younger. If only things had been different. These if-onlys keep us trapped in a life that doesn't exist. True freedom begins the moment we stop bargaining with reality and start allowing it. Acceptance is not weakness. It is the doorway to inner spaciousness. Here is a simple practice of release. Sit comfortably. Breathe slow, steady breaths. With each inhale, feel your body soften. With each exhale, whisper inwardly, "Let it go." Let go of expectations. Let go of the need to control. Let go of the small self that tries to hold everything together. As you release, notice a subtle lightness forming, like setting down a heavy bag you didn't realize you were carrying. Awakening is not a dramatic event. It is the quiet recognition that the peace you've been seeking has been inside you from the beginning. The more you surrender, the clearer this becomes. You don't have to strive. You don't have to achieve. You only have to stop clutching at the waves and sink gently into the ocean of awareness that has always held you. And in that stillness, you may realize something profound. When we stop searching for a different life, we discover we have already arrived. As we come to the end of this journey, remember that inner peace in the later chapters of life is not a mystery reserved for a chosen few. It grows from acceptance, deepens through presence, expands through compassion, and blossoms into awakening. Every breath you take, every quiet morning light, every moment of clarity is an opportunity to return to yourself. No matter your age, your path is still unfolding, softly, naturally, and exactly on time. If today's reflection touched something in you, I invite you to stay connected. Leave a gentle thought in the comments, share this video with someone who may need comfort, and subscribe so you can continue walking these peaceful steps with us. May you be well. May you be serene. May your heart in every season of life rest in the stillness of now.